In the Foreign Affairs Committee hearing earlier. Thank you for taking time to listen to a few comments I have to say. And also urge you to touch base with the chair of the committee, Mr. DeFazio, who's originally from Massachusetts and will know specifically about what I'm talking about. In southeastern Massachusetts, the Bourne and Sagamore bridges support the only two roads for crossing the Cape Cod Canal by car. As with so many bridges around the country, these critical pieces of infrastructure have long reached the end of their working lives. In fact, the Army Corps of Engineers has spent millions of dollars to keep these bridges at a minimum level of operation and keep regular flow of traffic moving. And of course, the traffic is an issue with all our communities, but it also becomes a matter of heightened concern during large-scale emergencies. In fact, it's down to one lane right now, and hopefully we'll get this done by Memorial Day, but it's a constant area when these two bridges were built in the early 1930s. Thankfully, the residents of Cape Cod have not faced a catastrophic event in recent years, but we've had several near misses. For example, Hurricane Sandy, which devastated New York and New Jersey in 2012, and Hurricane Jose, which brought tropical storm conditions to Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket in 2017. We've also been hit by several nor'easters over the last few years, storms that have caused widespread wind and ice damage and even death. Increasingly, it appears my area is due for a major direct hit. It's also in the regional vicinity as well of a nuclear power plant, one that's soon going to be facing decommissioning, but will still be a site of storage. For these reasons, it's important that we recognize that the canal bridges and other critical evacuation infrastructure across the nation play fundamental roles in providing for the safety of countless Americans. In Massachusetts, I'm relieved to report that much of the state and local work required to shore up the long-term safety of the canal bridges is already underway. I've also been working closely with the Army Corps leadership, both in New England and in Washington, to ensure the safest and most resilient evacuation routes remain a priority. We know we're capable of success in this effort, and I appeal before the committee to encourage similar effects and efforts to be secured for evacuation routes around the country. Last year, I partnered with our two state senators from my home state, as well as Mr. Garamendi from California, who sits in the committee, to introduce the Enhancing of the Strength and Capacity of America's Primary Evacuation Routes Act. Don't you love these acts, the titles? Or the ESCAPE Act, which would authorize dedicated public infrastructure funding to construct, maintain, and protect designated emergency evacuation routes. Passage of the ESCAPE Act would be an important step in securing the safety of all communities in times of natural disaster. Look forward to partnering with Mr. Garamendi to reintroduce this legislation again soon. As I know, the members of this committee, I'm sure, agree, we cannot risk the public safety by neglecting our vital roadways. We've got to provide necessary federal resources to support safe passage in times of emergency, and we must eliminate any doubt that the infrastructure might not meet the challenge. I thank you for having this opportunity to emphasize the necessity of safe evacuation routes and increase federal funding in this respect. I'm confident the committee is well equipped to meet our nation's infrastructure needs, both in my district and across our entire country. And I hope to continue this dialogue with any questions you might have or any further information I can supply.